Welcome to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Now, before I give you an update of where we are with the series, I want to jump straight in and say a big thank you for all your comments and feedback. You guys have given me a lot to think about as usual, and I'm just going to go through some of the main highlights. Plus, I also want to show you something that solves my problems with the shipping. But first, I just want to go through some of the other comments that people have done. Somebody posted that I would be far better off with a cargo office supplying both the steel and taking away the components. So what I've done is reshaped this mechanical factory to put the cargo office up here. It's not connected by road at the moment because I'm building this kind of square around it. It actually worked to my advantage because what I've actually been able to do is bring a high tension power cable through into here. Now, another big one, and this is quite an important tip, and I must admit I keep on forgetting about this. That is bus stations. Somebody pointed out that allowing passengers and students to stand at your bus stops when they're not going anywhere is actually reduces their effectiveness of actually collecting resources. Looks like I've got a meat problem again. And that is very true. So what I've done is I've gone through and effectively put all my bus stations to workers. You can see we've got loads and loads of workers there. We've got quite a high unemployment rate at the moment, but there's not much I can do about that until I get more and more industries up and running. And of course this leads into another comment about over 21s, and if I show you here, I've got 287 over 21s which I'm going to use to populate expansion cities. And if I'm completely honest, once the game gets momentum, I don't keep putting up apartment blocks for the over 21s to expand cities, because what can actually happen is that eventually the populations start to outstrip the resources. And the other thing I don't want to get into the habit is this constant expansion, simply because I know for a fact that the devs have mentioned that they have adjusted birth and death rates. So in the next update, the situation could be totally different. But one suggestion I am going to do is that they said it's about time I started thinking about another residential block. And they are quite right about that. What's this? This is 138 workers. This is 698 workers. Wow. Is it worth? I don't think it's really worth putting that in there. I think we're going to stay with the theme of these blocks here for the moment. So we're going to put another row here because we're actually in range of the heating. This is going to be very much a high-rise city, but I'm just going to try to drop them down like that. And of course what will happen is my road crews should pick up the footpaths. I think the other thing I will do is there's there that we're getting a bit of a sport problem. I think that's because I haven't really put much sport down here, so I think we'll just drop in sport. Where is it? Never find it. I think we'll put I think I should be able to get a little athletics club in there, and maybe another one just over here along this edge here. I think if I put in a couple of athletics clubs, I think up here, nope, these guys have got a sport problem as well, so maybe I need to put something in a little bit bigger up here. I mean, we can put a bowling alley over here actually behind the kindergarten, and if I put a footpath up, say from here into there, can then put a gym. Actually, I haven't built a gym. Let's put a gym in. What's the point? This needs 4 workers. This needs 5 workers. Oh, gym 3. There we are. Let's just put a nice big gym in. I know it's impractical, but as I've said before, I'm not really a min-max player, and sometimes it's just I like my cities to kind of take on a life of their own in some ways. Is probably the best way to say it. I think what the other thing we will do is I'm just going to sign. Okay, I can't do that just yet. So that's the population issue. Another point someone made was about my mega pipeline down here, and I have to admit I've had a few reservations about it, especially in the short term, because this small oil refinery has got a fairly finite output, and you can see here that we're not getting vast amounts of fuel. Oops, I better need to assign this. I think we'll put Portsmouth Groundworks on that just a moment to get that kicked off. So, and one of the problems you do get with these oil tanks, especially when they're connected to pumping systems, is that what actually happens is that where is it? It's probably over here. We're not actually connected to any pumping systems here. Wrong game. What could happen is that you end up filling, I mean, I think the storage tank I put down here is the one, it's the small ore, it holds 300 tons of fuel, and it's meant to be an intervention store. Now the problem is that if I connect this to a pipeline to here, what will happen is that this will keep stealing all the fuel until such time as it effectively fills up. So then I end up with 300 tons of fuel sat here not doing very much, and that can be a bit of a problem. So there's a real possibility that I may actually not ever build this pipeline down to here, or we may build to this point and then use trucks to bring fuel down to here and then ship it across here, so that I don't have to kind of send trucks round these links to get to the oil port. So what I might not do is build this link here until such time as I get the oil refinery over there. Now, just to wind this section up, I've got something quite big to do, and I would like to say a big thank you to BC74SJ for actually reminding me about cheat mode. And this does relate to a problem I had up over in this corner here. What I was doing was looking at the map in my workshop, and I think I found the problem on the map, and I actually was looking at fixing it, but I've forgotten all about cheat mode and the fact that it's possible to fix terrain problems when you've actually got a game underway. And I think probably the best way to do it is just go in and do it. I'm going to be straight up front. I'm not particularly that good with cheat mode because I don't use it that much. What I've got to do now is hold, was it CHE to get activate cheat mode. Now, one advantage with cheat mode is that what you can do is you can come right off the map now, and what you'll see is that there's these little spikes here. Got to come in here, and I'm kind of showing, and what we got to do is activate the landscape editor. What you do is you get the landscape editor up the top, and when you do that, it actually releases you from the boundaries of the map. And what you'll see up here, and this is the problem, what you see here is some little spikes right on the corner of the map here, and what's actually happening is the ships are coming in and getting stuck on those spikes. So what I need to do is just trim these away, and we're just going to take these away here, just round this off a little bit. So this is one of the ways you can fix map problems. I think there's that little spike down here as well. I think we'll just get rid of him as well. I think that fixes the problem. One thing I will say about this terrain editor, and it's a feature in this terrain editor that I actually like, and that is if you set the limit, you can set the height. I would really wish that somehow there was this option in the standard game, because one of the advantages with this is if you set the limit, you can see here, you can adjust the height here. And I really miss this from when I was actually creating the map, because especially when you're working on coastlines here and you want to level down, but you don't want to go below the water anyway. The next thing I need to do is come into here, and we're just going to turn off the landscape mode, so we won't get that there, and then we'll just turn cheat mode back off again. So that should fix the problem with my boats hooking on that corner. Now I'm not going to flip the tourist boat to rubles, because at the moment what I want to do is balance my economy here with respect to dollars, and what I'm trying to do is get to a point where the amount of oil coming in is paid for by both the bitumen exports. We should be getting some bitumen exports. We've got 10 tons there, and also the effect from tourism. So I mean, we're still getting a fair amount of oil in. This is carrying 400 tons. So, and as somebody suggested, I have set this to wait until unloaded. So what should happen is the ship should come in here, to speed up a little, just let the ship come in here. The ship should come in here, and then it will wait long enough for the load to drop below 1,500 tons. In fact, it's not going to wait because it's there. Anyway, just slow the game back up again. Now, updates. Not much has changed since the end of the last video. Well, something has changed, but not that in the way you expected. Now, I did say at the end of the last video that I wanted to populate this city here. And I would like to bring up the over 20 ones here, but the real focus of this part is going to be planning this area here. I do have a bit of a concern in the sense that we're in July. Let's just let the game run. I don't know why I've left it. And these workers have got to get in and be happy before winter comes in. And of course we need to get the heating running up here. So the first thing I need to do is get over here, and we're going to buy a bus. I mean, the distance is relatively short, and as some of you keep repeating, is I need to pay more attention to the, I think we can reduce this down to about 20. So I want a bus that's big enough to provide the workforce here, but the distance isn't great. So I think possibly we could get away with another little maxi bus here, 25-seater, because that would ensure that we get, because you've got to remember, we've got to have 3 rounds of staffing. So no, I think I'm just going to go with another small bus here. We've got a vehicle depot. I've got stuff in here at the moment as well, which I need to move. So I think we're, no, let's just go dollars. It is dollars, isn't it? Yeah, I still like this 25-seater because the distance is relatively short. I think we are going to stick with the 25-seater. And I think we will set up a route, proper route actually. There's the bus stop there. And bring it up to here. And we're going to call this expansion. I will give this town a proper name eventually. And then we'll come down to here. Oops, nope. I missed the... Oh, sorry. And just gonna click there. Of course, what we're gonna do is... which one's which? Okay, let me just see. I'm gonna name this actually. Expansion heating. I really need to come up with a way of distinguishing bus stops from bus routes and things like that. Come back into here. So here's expansion heat. Come there. And of course you're going to unload workers. You're going to pick up workers. So we've got, and of course what we've got to do now is start bringing up some of a lot of these workers. So we're going to pick a, say this block here. I'm going to pick some from the center, and we're going to pick up some from here as well. And I think I've also got a little bit of an overflow in Portsmouth now. And what we're going to do is first we're going to pick up out here. I'm going to put a few people in this block, more in this block here. It's taken about over 100 out. Right, before we do this, what I've got to do is assign you to that and the school 50-50. The reason for that is I don't want these workers wandering off doing other things. What I need them to do is concentrate on the, providing workers for the... So I'm just going to put a few more in there. That drops that down 100. And we'll just steal a few from here. How's the... Still dropping. Okay, so we should have got the education going. More importantly, we should have the workers in here, which means that the population should start there. You can see I've already adjusted this here, and then what we should do is get them out here. Oops, I need to buy a couple of loggers to fell the trees, and what we need to do is get the workers out there. So how's the... We're down to 143. I just want to check on whether we've got over 21s in actually in Portsmouth. Let me just see. Yeah, so we've got a few in here. So what I can do is hook out some more from here. We'll just put because of course the drive to take people out of here is quite relentless. When I'm doing this, I don't like pulling too many people out of one city, because if you take away too much of the population, because you've got to remember is the over 21s don't just jump straight into every job that they find. They need to kind of go out and settle in, is probably the correct way of saying it. 3 there, so they're all scattered around a little bit. I think we'll pull a few more just to kind of get this whole area up and running. That should be okay. We're just gonna let that settle down. Are you getting workers up here? So we've now got workers up here, which is more important because I'd rather keep this overloaded so they build up a surplus of logs here, because they've got to get through the winter. And the other thing I can do now is we probably get a surplus of workers here. And what I want to do is move these guys onto here. What that should do is speed up the progress of actually building things up here. And what I've actually done here is I've expanded this out and put a power splitter in here. So hopefully these guys will pick up these jobs here. Expansion, construction crew here. Now comes the fun part of the video. What I've done here, what I'm going to do now is probably pause the game, because well, I won't pause it just at the moment while I'm talking, but eventually I will pause it. What you'll see here is I've created a whole series of levels here, because what I need to put in here is some aggregate loading here. Of course, we're going to get roads through here past this railway line. I'm going to put a railway line through so that we can get a link up to here, because there's a very real possibility that if we open up the iron mines on the other side of here, because this is where, if I show you up here, we got the iron, we got iron here. There's a very real possibility that what we'll be doing is bringing the iron down from here. It will be the iron, not the iron ore, to the rail line here, which will then go all the way down to the steel mill there. So we're going to put a rail line through here, and of course the other thing we're also going to do is put in the aluminium production here. Now if you see here, what I've done is I've put in about 5 bauxite mines. Now the reason I put those in is not so much that I'm going to plan to build every one of these. It's down simply to the fact that I wanted to know where they were when I was doing the leveling. So that is the area there. Now the other thing I want to do before I come up here is, I am going to pause, sorry, because actually I want to do the bridges down here, and it's going to be quite, because I want to make sure these bridges don't interfere with the shipping. So we're going to start with a road bridge here. In fact, I'll probably trim that road back a little bit for the moment. And then what I would like to do is, I just can't remember which one it is. This is concrete gravel, so this is the bridge that I want to build. It's a build beam bridge, because the other ones, that needs lots of steel, and this one I think uses bricks as well, where the beam bridge, which is this one, only uses concrete and gravel and asphalt. It's all stuff which I can produce effectively myself. And of course what we're going to need to do is get a lot of height with this. Now what I'm going to do is practice. I've been practicing a little bit with building bridges, and I've got an idea of how I can do this. Because one of the problems when you build these bridges is that no matter how well you get things straightened up, oh, we got an epidemic coming in, you often get a kink like that. See? Don't like that at all, actually. Sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right to the edge like that. I'm going to build it, then we're going to knock it down. And then I'm going to switch on the wireframe. And then we're going to... sorry, I've got to pause, guys, because I'm watching this and I'm half thinking that what's going on over there, what's going wrong. This is one of the problems with this game, that if you start thinking like that, it just becomes a bit of a distraction. And we're just going to come up here. And because you've got the wireframe on, what you should be able to do is come here, and then I can zoom out a little bit. Yeah, if you build from above, quite often it kind of works a little bit better. And then we hook there, come down. And this is going to be quite a spectacular bridge, but again, it's that's reasonably close. Maybe that's about it. I know it's quite a grand bridge, but I feel that it should be, because I mean, we're going to have ships going underneath it. What I should be able to do now is curve out the road through here like that. Then of course what we'll do is we'll take out this road here and put that in there, and we'll accept that. Now comes the fun bit. What we got to do is run a railway bridge, and I'm not sure whether this headland is going to be a bit of a problem. Again, I'm kind of inclined at the moment to trim this track back to here, and then of course the bridge, you can't build curved bridges, so kind of put the two in again like that, build them and then delete them like that. So that gives me the angle of where I'm aiming for. Now with bridges you don't get a lot of choice. They consume either prefabs or lots and lots of steel. Let me just see. This one uses bricks and prefabs. What I'm more inclined to do is just go, because you don't get a lot of choice, I actually prefer these truss bridges, because they're the actual fastest bridges of all. And when you're building long bridges, that little bit of extra will make a difference. Okay, I'm just going to... I'm going to have to get a lot of height again. A little bit of rail there. Just get in the way. Just delete you. And then it's always fun hooking. Zoom out. How high is that? I think we're put a bit more height on the bridge here. Again, I'd rather be too high than not high enough. That's reasonably straight, is probably the polite way of saying it. This is the fun bit. Wow, I've actually managed to do it. And then what we're going to do is come down off of here, and again hopefully try and get a little bit of a realistic slope, and hopefully keep this square. That's... it's got a bit of a dip at the end now. Now comes the fun bit of getting that to hook to there. And then of course what we're going to do is one track is going to go straight for that mountain, and then we're going to curve off and go up, because if in a previous video you'll be aware that I built a bridge up here. So I think kind of a bit think what we'll do is we'll just put in a little bit of track here just to confirm that that is there. So we've now got our 2 breakout bridges here. Going to accept those. So we're looking good here. And of course we're going to need to come in here. Just hook those through to there, accept you. So we got our bridges here which get built. Quite strangely, if I come up here and show you here, I'm just going to take off the wireframe briefly. I'm quite surprised how quickly the crews are putting these bridges up actually. You can see that these bridges are being built really quickly. And these are the concrete bridges. If I show you here, you can see that they only need concrete and asphalt. So if you're building road bridges, these are probably the quickest bridges you can actually build. And you can see I've actually getting the road connection down to here. So the old road crew up here is going a bit ballistic, which is good because I'm really would like to lay in the road connections here. Anyway, back to here. Oh, one thing I do want to check. I just want to put this off here because just before, well, when I was doing the terrain manipulation, I saw these guys were, yeah. What happened there is there's this mechanic when with track laying trains that they've got a kind of inbuilt auto detect. So if you send them off on a certain route, they will follow that route to a certain point, normally a complex junction or a building like this, and then they won't go any further unless you give them an instruction. So what you can do is you can point them in a job like this, and then they will go out and build round there. Now there's a so what will probably happen is that it will build both these 2 lengths of track here, but then he won't do anything else going past that bit there. Let me just get back over here with it. I mean, see how quickly these guys are building things at the moment. And they're not building anything. They've built these here. I think we can. I think we're. Oh, which one did we assign the expansion? I can't understand why expansion city construct keeps picking up the things. Where's the groundworks crew? I think what we will do is assign groundworks crew to 2 of those. Let me see here what we got here. Oh, we got this epidemic as well. It says, seems you have been impacted by serious infection causing patients severe complications. Seems that the disease is not very infectious. I haven't had a really infectious one so far. Let's have a look here. But I have had deaths from this. Generally what I've found is that if you get that, you're okay unless it's in winter. And if it's in winter, then you start to get a little bit of a problem. So these guys are okay. Want to keep an eye on things. Yeah, we got a culture problem as well. Maybe I need to put in something to do with culture as well, because I've been kind of neglecting that. Let me just see. It's cinema. I could put in a full-size cinema. I actually quite like these opera houses. House of Culture. Oh, come on, let's just do it. Let's put a full-size cinema in. We could put it here, because that would. I mean, how far can these guys walk? I mean, they can walk probably a little bit on their limit. So if we put a, say we put a cinema up about here. I mean, I do need to develop the other resources of this. We'll just hook you in there like that. These guys need culture. They probably do. Yeah, they got a bit of a culture problem as well. This nice little corner here, which I've been kind of keeping open. So what we can do is, what's the bet? It won't fit in there. No, it won't. Okay, so we have to go to mods. Library. I mean, we could make this into a little bit of a cultural centre, couldn't we? Anything else here? Telephone booths. It's got a small cinema. I mean, that would be nice. So if we say we put that in, how many? This employs 5 people. So say, for example, I put you in there like that. And then what we could do is put the opera house won't fit in there. Small pool hall. Not exactly sure how pool hall comes under culture, but maybe we'll put this down here. So we've got this line kind of thin wedge against the rail tracks here, so we can do that there. And what I'm going to do is just assign you to, I think you can go to Portsmouth, Gosport construction crew actually. I definitely got to do something about this expansion crew. I don't know how this can pick up so. I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, I'm gonna have to turn the buildings off here because I can't afford him to keep Gosport forklift garage. What on earth is that? Oh yeah, this is an experiment I did. Let me just tidy up the blocks. High voltage, turn you off. Unfinished high voltage, turn you off. Unfinished road. Where's this medium distribution office? What are you doing? Down here. Yeah, we're just gonna have to manage the buildings there. We'll turn off the Gosport forklift truck. Yeah, I did an experiment here with these two silos, and what happened was I got 74 tons of crops into here. This emptied out, but there was no backward transfer. So what I've done is I've put I'm going to build a forklift base here. So the idea is that I will be able to get overflow crops into here, and then the forklift can ensure that there's always crops in here. In fact, we're on August now. We've got plenty of food. Because I am toying with the idea of changing this railway line here and putting in a logistics centre here, so that I can, because what I'm thinking of is that if I put a logistics centre here, which can allow me to bring in some supplies to this area here, primarily crops, because what I could do is then put a distillery here, because the clothes factory will go, then I could put a distillery in here. But as somebody pointed out in the comments, that to do that I'd have to change this pipeline here, because I'd have to find some way to get a rail connection into here and connect up to there as well. But that's something that I'm gonna be thinking about in the future. Let me just get back up to here. I think I'd like to put in another block, I think, because this is already filling up quite quickly. Oh no, we got a little bit of surplus. Is everybody happy here? No sport. I thought I'd put some sport in. Oh, I didn't. Okay. Let me just mod in put some sport in. We'll just go with the standard, what we call it. And I think we'll bring the Gosport Road crew up. These. Yeah, so we got sport, spirit, culture. We got no culture as well. That's a bit of a failing. So I was in a little bit of a rush to get things up here, so I'll just go for the cinema. I think we'll just use the standard small theatre. Could probably get it. It's not gonna. Oh, look at that! It just fit in there. Cut with the footpath. You're gonna have to kind of curve up like that. What we will do is take a footpath from there and kind of run it around like that, and then eventually we can hook this through here. And I think we're just going to put another apartment block up here. These are 220s. No, I think we got the expansion potential here. So at the moment we're just going to let things go. So as promised, what I want to do now is start work on this area here, and what I want to do first is lay in the main railway lines and road connections. Let me just put the terrain wireframe on, sorry, not terrain map. What I'd like to do is kind of bring off the rail line somewhere about here. Okay. Let me just see. Have to try and drop this down a little bit here, so I can terraform this in. Actually, cancel that. The reason I'm trying to bring the connection off down here is because I want to do a bit of work here. I don't want the rail connection junction close to here. So we're gonna have to try and drop this down a bit more. If any of you are interested, do this terraforming up here. It took quite a long time, and I actually had to do it in sessions because my wrist was starting to hurt after a while. But there we are. So no, okay, we're still a little bit too high. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep pushing this down. We got a little bit up there. We're just gonna actually cancel that again. I can run. Why is that giving me so much jip? There we are. I think what I've done is I actually put a dip in there, haven't I? What I did was I dropped this down too much. And then we can strike that off like that. Okay. Let's cancel that again. I don't want the angle to be too steep here. That's a bit better. And then we'll strike you off there. And then what I want is this to curve round a little bit like that. Actually trim this back a little bit, and then we'll why won't that? Oh, I just love laying track in this game. Okay, that's it. I think that will work. And hopefully, oops, that will come there. And then what I'm going to do is run, I want this to run all the way along this escarpment here. I want to keep it relatively close to this escarpment. So I don't know how much space I'm going to need here for the aluminium production. Now I'm going to use a little bit of a trick up here, because my original plan was to try and get the rail and road down through this ravine here, but what I'm actually going to do is we're going to use, and this is a way that you can really push out a network using the tunnels, because unlike roads and rail, tunnels, oops, no, just cut it out. Yeah, tunnels, they either work or they don't work. So you can actually span quite long distances just by doing things like this. And what we can do now is just trim you back a little bit there. So in some ways, tunnels can be a bit of a sneaky way to get out past the limits of construction offices. And I'm going to run you there. A little bit of a dog leg there. I'm not happy with that. And just take you out. Bit happier. And I'm just going to run you all the way through there. So we've now got a connection here which will take me all the way through to here. Just want to take a quick look at, you're too high. Okay, just gonna have to delete that again. Yeah, it needs to come out more there. So we're going to have to take out this section here. I mean, the connection at this end is good. What I need to do is come through about there. And put you can there. We'll have to rework this section here. Like that. I'm just going to hook you up to there. And hopefully this is going to be a bit flatter. Yeah. I mean, so you can see I can sneak out a rail line like that. It's possible to with a bit of care and a bit of fiddling, you can actually get the railway out a lot longer, and it would be possible even to connect to here if I really wanted to. Now we're also going to send out a road connection here, but the next thing I want to do is work on a road connection here. So what I need to do now is get the loop here so that I can connect up to here. So we're going to come here. I think if I start, I want to do the inside one first. And what I want to do is kind of come across like that. The straight section will make sense, I can assure you. Again, I want these to be fairly long. In fact, I'm kind of inclined to... No, I think we'll leave it that way. That now comes into this area here. That should be enough space for a fairly long train. Now comes another fun bit, and that is that if you see here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well with the thing, is that the road here is actually in a depression. And what I want to do is take advantage of that depression so that I can build a cutting through here. What we're going to do is come here, and I think this going to come here up to the train editor down, and what I'm actually doing is something that Aleki Gaming has talked about on several occasions. That is that if you want to build very short bridges, what you want to do is rather than putting up the up ramps like I did back when I was crossing the water, is what you want to do is actually use mounds. So what I'm trying to do is get this down here, kind of put cutting through here. And then what we're going to do is head from this section here, keep this down fairly deep like that. I think that should be okay. And now comes the fun bit. What we got to do is lift this up a bit more on this side. I think what I'm going to need to do is just trim this section of track back here. Actually, we take out both these sections here, and I mean that's quite deep. Will I be able to get a... Let's just raise this up a little bit more. Get this really small. See, it won't come up any higher than that. Oh, it's a little bit higher. The game can be a little bit kind of tetchy. What we will do is take these sections of track back as well. I'm not sure that's deep enough, to be honest. Sometimes it's quite difficult to tell. It might be. We'll give it a go. Okay, we're just going to use a truss bridge. Yeah, well, just move it over a little bit like that. Of course, we want this to be a dual line. Yep, we've got away with it. And then you're going to come into there. You're going to come into there. What's this? Okay, so we've now got this here. They've got two options here. I can go over or under. My instinct is to go under. What I'm going to do is kind of keep the cutting going here. I'm going to have to kind of, as small as it will go. Actually, I think if I put you here, and we'll just push this bit of road down. And there's a limit to how far the ground will do it. And then what we'll do is we'll just trim out this straight section here. And then what I'd like to do is come on, you can do it, game. I'm proud of you. Oops. Oh. No. Put you through here. Just try and get the depth down. I'm not sure that's deep enough again, but we'll give it a go. Just don't want conveyors, I want rail. I'm gonna put up. No, it's not deep enough yet. Just gonna have to trim that back. Just push you down even deeper. Now, I know some of you may wonder, say, well, why am I putting the road underneath as opposed to the railway? I find in some ways that it's easier to build bridges using railways than roads, because the rail constructors just seem to do the work for you, where with roads you can have a bit of a problem. So we're just going to go that way again. Okay, hopefully just going to try and sneak this through. We've got the truss bridges across now, and what we'll have to do now is just adjust this. Hopefully this will play ball, because I've had instances where this will get a bit kind of antisocial, and it's got to make a connection like this. So we're going to come in here and then hook you up into there. We've now got the road underneath here, and what I'm going to do now is just trim, not the just trim this back a bit, and then what we're going to do is get the road out of the dip like that, by bringing it back up to here, like say something like that. Now comes the next part over here, and what we're going to do is build a road tunnel now from about here to come out roughly. I want to push this a little bit further, because road tunnels are a little bit more easier to build than rail tunnels, and hopefully, yeah, got a little bit of road out there. And we'll just trim this back a little bit like that. Now this is a reference road, which is going to run parallel to the railway lines. It will be subject to changes. Oh, come on. Go on it that way. Hey, come on. Actually, I'm just going to make it reasonably straight for the moment, like that, because we are going to bring rail off here to come into this area there. Now, the next thing I want to do is take a look at this area here, is what we're going to do here. And again, this is a suggestion from somebody in the comments. They said I needed a road loading capability here for the asphalt plant. But it occurred to me that it's also advantageous to put a rail loading link in here as well. So I'm not sure whether I can get both the road and the rail. If we can put that there. Trouble is I think I might need a conveyor here, or a conveyor tower, because I would like a road and a rail connection here. So connect to conveyors. So say if I put in something like that, just say stretch it out a little bit. No point just crowding it. We've got a reasonable amount of space here. If we can put that, say, like that, and then we can put in a, what we call it, where is it? Truck loading. Put a truck loading bay, just saying about here, like that. And then we'll put the rail aggregate loading about there, something like that. Actually, I wouldn't mind a road coming out underneath this. So say if I put this something like that. Maybe a bit closer. What I would like is a road under there. Oh, look at that. Great. Because what we're going to have to do is put a road connection through there. Now, with respect to the rail link here, we've got absolutely no reason to send aggregate down this way. Let's just turn the wireframe off again. Yeah, we've got absolutely no reason to send the aggregate down here. So I think what I can do here is just kind of run down here, get a fair amount of distance, and then, oops, you can then just hook into here like that. Oops. Of course, we'll have to put a crossover in about here. Now, I've got to get a road out over here. And I think at this point, let me just put the wireframe back on again. The road is actually higher than the rail. Was it? Or was the rail lower? I think the road is slightly higher, but the rail is still a little bit too high. So if I take out the rail like this here, just out this section here like that. This time we're actually going to push the track down a little bit like that. Maybe come out a little bit further this way. And I think that could be deep enough. So we're just going to put a road in. We go for a concrete bridge here. So we can get a concrete bridge across there. So, but you can see that the actual pier is in the center there. So I think if I put it like that, we may be able to get the rail. Oops, thank you, game. Going to be a bit of a tight fit, but overlaps with some construction. Okay. Trim these back a little bit. Maybe we can get this down. Oops. Get a little bit deeper. A bit more, I think. Push this down as deep as we can get it, and then we'll just perhaps, and then we're that's brought the track up, isn't it? Annoying. I'm gonna have to too steep now. I think we can take this back a little bit, like that. Okay. I think if I can get the bridge over here, let's just look at the road bridge, concrete bridge. Right, we've got the road across there. It won't connect there. Hopefully this will connect to there. We've got the road connection there. We can bring this through here. We'll come to there. That will give me the connection to the loader. This bit is great. Oops. We can hook this up here. Oh, back a little bit like this. Of course, this road eventually won't have any traffic on it, so I don't need to worry about that road. So all we got to do now is get you out of here. And you can do that as well. I'll make this into a little bit of a squiggle. You out there, you to there. Kind of just trim you back a little bit. Don't want to get too close to the bridge. Okay, thank you, game. So we can get that up to there. You can connect through to there. The problem's on this side. Your problem. Sometimes if you've got a problem like this, what you need to do is just take away the other track and then put in like this, so this one will do the work like that. Something, it doesn't like something here. Let me just see. I think this, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to get this in as a straight length, am I? The joys of this game. Okay, so we've got, it was connecting through here. Come on. A little bit. Get rid of these. I think I've got an I think I've got a bit of a random connection in there. Cram you back a little bit there. Okay. So I fixed one, but I can't fix the other. Yeah, I'll just trim you back to there. Yeah. And then we take you out. Back to there. There's a little bit of dead track in here, which could be a problem. There we are, there's a break there. We need to just take you out. We'll trim you back to here. And then, oops. Okay. Just can't do that last little bit. There's something. There we are. Got there in the end. Oops. Nope, that's no good. And wobbled a little bit there. And then I think we're going to try and tidy this up a little bit. Yeah, so we'll just take this out. This is what really time consuming when you're trying to lay in track and things like this. We're just going to tidy that up there. That kind of gives a little bit of a dead straight run into there now, which makes that look a little bit better. And then we need roughly 106, 113 meters. So we're looking at a crossover somewhere around here. And I'm going to be completely honest, that took a lot longer than I thought it was done. I think I'm just going to do a quick review of where we are. So we've got a road bridge over here. We've got the connection to the loader here. This needs a footpath, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this can connect that eventually. We've got the road connection through here to our bauxite mine. To finish off the rail connections, what I need to do is come in from here and put in a passenger station and a pickup point for the aluminium production in this area. Though we're going to have to try and fit in the aluminium production. I'm not going to do it now because I'm aware that the length of time of the video is coming. You can see here we've got some really big buildings. We've got two pretty big buildings to put in. We've got a small one here, and of course I've got my bauxite mines there. So what we're probably looking at is maybe something along that line there, and then we'll put in this here. But I probably need to place these so I can know where to put the passenger station. This one doesn't look like it's actually got any footpaths on it. And then we're putting, this actually needs an ancillary power supply as well. Where's the road connection? The road connection's that way. So what I might have to do is something like that, so that the passenger, what we may have to do is kind of line up the industries along here like that. Something, those are the inputs. Let me just put this in draft. This is very much kind of thinking. So say for argument's sake I put this like that. My fingers are going to take a little while to recover from this. Have the aluminium plant here like that. Then we'd have to find some way to connect up. We'd have to terraform this area in. You need 370 workers. So we're probably looking at having this about here. And then we could have the passenger station here, although we're going to have to try and get a curve back over the passengers. Anyway, I think I need to think a bit more about actually how I'm going to place the buildings here. So this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. In the next part, maybe what we'll do is let the game run on and do some actual gameplay, because I'm aware that planning's interesting, but there are limits to what you can do. So until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.